I'm John McQuay with 8541 Tactical, and we're here today to talk to you about a new product from Vaultek. No, not the Vaultek from Fallout. This is the Vaultek that manufactures high-quality firearms safe. Now, Vaultek originally contacted us and told us that they were bringing out a new line of safes, their Pro Series, and asked us if we would like to take a look at their top-of-the-line ProVti. Well, this interested me quite a bit because in my line of work, I hear a lot of horror stories about people's guns being stolen. So you'll hear it constantly. Somebody's house got broken into, their gun was in their nightstand table, or someone's truck or car got broken into and the gun was in the center console or under the seat or in the glove box. Criminals know where to look for guns, so it's really important that if your gun is not in your control, that you have it secured so that it's not only a deterrent to theft, but also a deterrent to unauthorized handling. Now, the Vaultek safe helps solve one of the main problems of securing your firearm, and that's the more secure you make it, the more difficult you make it to access that firearm. So if you lock it in a safe, or a standard key type safe, or a dial combination safe like the large one I use here, then you really delay your ability to access those firearms rapidly. And in a home invasion type situation or a burglary, you may need to get to that firearm very quickly. So safes like Vaultek are a great help in that. Now, the Vaultek here has 4 different methods in order to access the interior of the safe. You can do so either by key, by keypad, by biometric, or even by an electronic key fob. Now, the nice thing is that if all the electronic means fail to this safe, you can still access it with a key, and there's a keyhole on the front that's very quickly accessible. So you don't have to worry about your firearm being trapped inside and not being able to get to it. The Vaultek battery is chargeable by USB. There's a micro USB on the side here. And you can charge up the battery, and in quite a few of the modes and the default setup, the battery lasts quite some time. Now, I can't give you an exact amount of time that the battery will last because we kind of goofed up and I set one of the modes that they don't recommend that you set, and I killed the battery very quickly, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. Now, when you originally get the safe, it's going to come in a cardboard outer box with a plastic inner box inside of it, and the safe will be supported by foam blocks inside that plastic box. Because the Vaultek VTI Pro is a fairly heavy safe, this extra packing I think is a really good idea to make sure that it gets to you in a brand new and shiny form. Now, unless your delivery guy really hates you, it's highly unlikely that the safe is going to receive any damage by the time it gets to you. When it originally gets to you, there will not be any battery installed. It will not have any power, so you will need to use the key to access it, but that's quite well spelled out in the owner's manual. And how to install the battery is spelled out in there, and it's very quick, it's toolless, and it is a rechargeable battery that they include with it. So battery installation is really a one-time kind of deal. But the really nice thing is it is a replaceable battery, so if over time that battery builds up in memory, it starts to not hold its charge really well, then you can throw it away and you can replace the rechargeable battery with a new rechargeable battery and still have access to that charging port. You also have the ability to power it by USB, so you can plug it into a USB wall outlet, etc., and have that guy running and have it topped off all the time. So if you're a traveler, you can keep the battery topped off, you can unplug it, throw it in your luggage, and go wherever you need to go. Now, once you get the battery into it, there is a default code already programmed into it, a default master code, and I definitely recommend that you reprogram that master code right away so that you don't forget and you don't have that master code as a way to access it. Initially, when you reprogram it, it will overwrite the default master code. You can then program in one more master code, and then you can program in a number of additional codes to access the safe. Now, it is an 8-digit keypad, and so you have the option of programming a 4 to 8-digit key, or 4 to 8-digit access code. a really nice option because the more complex you make that access code, the less likely it is that someone is going to guess it or just hit on it by punching buttons. Now, there is a drawback to a longer code. A longer code means it's going to take you longer to punch it in and longer to get into the safe. A 8-digit code is going to take you twice as long to punch in as a 4-digit code. So I stick with a 4-digit code because I don't expect to have the safe in a position where someone is going to be able to repeatedly try the code until they can get in. So for me, a 4-digit code is sufficient. But because we have the option of the biometrics on here or the key fob, if you want to program in an 8-digit code, you can use that as kind of your, all right, I just average need to get into it, and you can keep the biometrics for the fast access. Now, when you get it, you will initially have to program your fingerprints in the biometric sensor, and that was a quick and easy process. You'll program in a master fingerprint code, and then that master fingerprint code will be needed to authorize any additional fingerprints to be programmed into the safe. What this does is this allows you to give other people access to the safe, but then revoke that access whenever you need it. The same is true of the keypad. You can program in additional key codes to get into the safe and then revoke them as needed. Once you use the key to get into the safe without the battery installed, you'll then install the battery, and now it's time to program the safe. This is one spot where we found some issue. When we read the operator's manual on how to program, it mentions pressing a key button on the front and the program button at the same time. Well, deep in here there is a button that says program next to it, and the thing looks like a button. If you push on it, it pushes down and has a little bit of a tactile pop to it, so it feels like a button, but that is not actually the button. That is a plastic cover over the button. So you actually have to peel back the plastic cover, and once you peel back the plastic cover, you can now depress the actual button itself. I will definitely give Vaultek a thumbs up on covering the programming button, so it's almost impossible for you to accidentally press it, even in the heat of the moment, even in the middle of the night. It's almost impossible to accidentally press the button, but they definitely need to make it a little bit clearer in the instructions that there is a safety cover that needs to be moved before you can press the button. Now, we've already talked to Vaultek about that, and that should be rectified in future revisions of the owner's manual. Just know, if you get the owner's manual and you go to program it and you can't figure out why it's not actually programming, make sure that you are moving the guard and actually pushing on the button itself. Once you figure that out, programming is really quick and really easy on the safe. There are a number of different keypads or a number of different codes to plug in to get to the different modes. Now, we did mention the key fob access. Now, the key fob access is kind of interesting, and I'm not sure exactly how useful it is. We had some issues getting the key fob to work. We talked to Vaultek about it, and it appears to be a little bit of a design issue that they're fixing on the keypad itself. But assuming they fix that and it works just fine, the actual way that the keypad operates and the ability it gives you is not something I'm sure your average guy is really going to need. Once you program the key fob that comes with your ProVti into the safe, so it knows to recognize that code, you have two different modes that you can operate that in. The default mode requires you to actually come over to the safe, activate the safe by coming in within proximity of the keypad, and once the keypad is lit, you can now push the button on the key fob and it will open the safe. The second mode of the key fob removes the necessity of you to come into proximity of the keypad or the safe. You could actually open the safe from the other room just by clicking the key fob. Now, obviously, this is a safety concern, and it's spelled out very well in the operator's manual that if you sit on your keys or push the button, or somebody's playing with your keys in the other room and they push that key fob, the safe will open. And because it is a spring-loaded top here, then it will open as soon as it receives the signal to open. Now, I can't see a situation where I would really want to hit that key fob and have the safe open in the other room. If I have a significant other that I want to have access to this safe, I'm just going to program her fingerprint or program in a key code for her to be able to access the safe. I'm not going to need to push the button on command and then tell her to go get my gun. You know, about the only thing I could see is if it's somebody that isn't normally in your house that you would want to be able to open that knot. But there is one huge drawback to that mode. It doesn't allow the safe to go to sleep. It has to constantly listen for that key fob signal. And so it drains your battery very rapidly. The battery drained in less than a week with that mode on. I don't know exactly when it stopped working, but we had it sitting out here in the shop. I came out here earlier to shoot some B-roll for the video, and it was absolutely dead. So I had to plug it back in and charge the battery up before I could come show you all the activations and do the video on this. So for me, I don't think the keypad or the key fob has great utility. It's probably something that if I was not actually reviewing the safe, I probably would not even have bothered to program the key fob into the safe. Now, talking about remote access, there is one really cool option for remote access. If you have a smartphone, then there is a smartphone app. The app will actually allow you to unlock the safe remotely. So it works through Bluetooth. It works very well, and it will actually demonstrate the battery level of the safe, and you can go in here and you can look at the history log and you can see when the safe was last accessed, how it was opened, if it was opened by fingerprint 1 or fingerprint 2 or whichever you accessed it. So if you assigned different family members different codes on the safe and different fingerprints on the safe, then you can see which family member actually accessed your safe. That is a really, really cool feature. So I thought that was really interesting. But the greatest utility of it is being able to remotely unlock it, being able to monitor the battery power, and being able to delete the different fingerprints or the different codes whenever you need to do so without going into that programming menu. Now, there are a few drawbacks to the Vaultek ProVti, and the main drawback is cost. This is not a cheap device, but there are a ton of electronics in here, and the biometric fingerprint scanner has worked very well. Now, you notice while we were doing this demo, there was one spot where I had to tap it the second time, but that was more than likely because I didn't hold my finger on it. I just tapped it and removed my finger. When I did what I was supposed to do, which is hold your finger on it until the safe unlocks, we got into it every single time. The only times I had problems with the biometric scanner was if I just tapped the pad and then removed my finger too quickly. The Apple fingerprint scanners on their devices have spoiled me because that thing is incredibly fast. Well, this is still fast. You just have to make sure that you pause with your finger on it until you hear the click. One of the other small issues that we found with it is when you go to close the safe, you want to make sure that you push the safe down and hold it for a couple of seconds to make sure that the locks have had time to latch. I've seen that where if I just slam it closed, it won't latch and it will come back up. Now the nice thing is, if you do that, if you just slam it closed, it pops right back open. So you obviously know you didn't latch the safe because it's sitting here open. If you hold it down and release it, it stays down. So if the lid stays down, the safe has latched closed. So it was really nice that they did that, and I love the fact that it is pneumatic and it opens really quickly, really smoothly. It is a quality piece. There's really no wiggle on the hinges, and when it latches down snugly. Vaultek included holes on the bottom here so that you can either mount it to the mounting plate, or you can utilize the included screws and screw this down to a heavy-duty piece of furniture, screw it down to a floor, screw it down to wherever you want to put it. If you choose to screw this into a wall and wall mount it, it is a heavy-duty safe, so I will recommend that you make sure you go into studs, that you not try to screw this into drywall or mount it with drywall anchors. Additionally, mounting it through drywall is just silly because somebody can just grab it and rip it off the drywall. So make sure if you wall mount it, you put it in some studs and get it mounted in solidly. Additionally, they include a cable, and it has a really cool cable mounting system over here on the side, so you can cable lock it around a seat post or around a fixed part, a roll bar, whatever you have in your car or truck, and then lock the safe in really quickly. So you can leave that cable locked around whatever solid object it is, and then take the safe into your vehicle, lock it in, close the lid on the safe, and you're good to go, and it will be cable locked to a fixed object. Now, obviously, that cable is not going to defeat a concentrated attack. If somebody really wants to get your gun safe out of your vehicle, then that cable will be defeated, in fairly short order. So it is really a good idea to make sure that this is out of sight, out of mind. But if somebody breaks into your vehicle, happens to find this, tries to remove it, the cable's going to slow them down. So it will defeat smash and grab type thefts, which is often what we see with stolen firearms in vehicles. So this will slow them down quite a bit. And again, it will still allow you to rapidly access your firearm should you need to get to it inside your vehicle. Overall, I really like all the features of the Vaultek ProVti. It is a fairly expensive safe, but if you're really strapped on cash, you can go to the ProVti, eliminate the biometric sensor, and save a little bit of money. I like the fact that it is large enough you can put 2 guns in, or you can put your holstered handgun with a spare magazine and a flashlight, etc. And overall, the build quality is very high. The external steel portion of the safe is well finished, it's well formed, and it really gives you confidence that this thing is going to hang on to your gun and make it very difficult to take away what's rightfully yours. If you guys have any questions or comments on the Vaultek ProVti, please leave them in the comment section below or send them to us on Facebook or Twitter. And until next time, get out and shoot!